What's up, Thunder fans? We are live with our first ever segment of Thunder Things with the Thunder Guys on Crossover Radio, Radio with a Purpose. I'm Zach Lowe, and I've got Craig Hofeld here with me, and together we are the Thunder Guys. Every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m., we will be right here live on Crossover Radio, as well as on the Crossover Radio YouTube Live channel. You can download the totally free Crossover Radio app on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store as well. And from inside the app, you can click Listen to listen to us live. You can click Watch and catch us on the YouTube channel. And also from the YouTube channel, you can get subscribed. Make sure that you don't miss a single thing. So, without further ado, what's up, Craig?
What's going on, man?
You ready to talk some Thunder basketball?
I am. I'm ready. I'm glad this thing's finally rolling and we're not just going through months of talks and preparation. I'm glad that we're finally here.
It's taken a lot of work to get to this point, but we are primed and ready to go. So we're going to jump in and get kicked off. Let's go ahead and start talking about start to the season. How do you think we look 9 games in?
To be honest with you, very inconsistent. Is that what the word you were going to use as well?
Yeah, that's pretty dead on there.
I feel like it's been on both sides of the ball, though, not just offensively, defensively. The defense at times has looked phenomenal. Much more improvements last season, especially closing out quarters, closing out on the perimeter. The big three playing all together is kind of...
Chemistry's taking a little...
longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've seen some flashes of brilliance. I think offensively, we look at our best when our ball movement is going. We've seen so many possessions where Russ will bring it down to the court and he will drive into the lane like he always has, but then he'll actually be able to kick to shooters, guys that he can rely on. And it's not just like one guy. It's usually 2 or 3 guys, and then, of course, we've got Steven Adams in the paint, usually available somewhere. So we've got we got a little bit going there. It's not quite as consistent, I guess, as we'd like to see. Defensively, this might be, in terms of potential, the best defensive team I think that we've ever seen in Oklahoma City.
I would agree with you.
I'm not 100%. Sure we're quite there yet, but it's definitely got the potential to be that. Let's see. First 9 games. What's your take on some of these wins, some of these losses that we've had? What do you think with that?
I always told people that leading up to the season that it was gonna take some time.
Sure.
But I didn't think it was gonna be 9 games in when we were gonna start questioning. Okay, is this actually gonna work or what's gonna happen? In the wins, they've looked phenomenal. I think all of the wins have looked amazing. But then you take the 5 losses, and there's quarters where you're thinking, wow, this team could be the team this year. But then the rest of the quarters, you're like, what's happening? Is this Are these 3 guys really
like the game against Boston? First half, it's like this is a team that could easily compete.
Now, when you're looking at this is the
Golden
team
State.
this could be a team in the East that we're playing against for it all, and we're dominating right now. And then you have that quarter where it's just everything goes downhill.
You look at the second half, and you're just kind of wondering what is going on. So, some struggles there. You mentioned chemistry with the big 3. What do you see that you like? What do you see that you'd like to see more of? What would you like to see less of? That, and as far as that goes,
what I like is how many options we have. Like you were saying earlier, Russ has the ability now to kick the ball out when he drives into the lane, and to see the encouragement for him when those shots go in. Because last season, how many times did he kick and there's just nothing there for
Kicks
him.
to Dre in the corner and then just misses terribly.
Seeing Russ get encouraged by those shots falling is good to watch. I feel like each one of them, the big 3, has had their own game, but we're yet to see a game where they all 3, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there's only so many points to go around. You're not going to have, Russ averaging as many as he was, but we still haven't had that game where everyone shot amazing.
You're looking for some type of consistency where, we've got point averages and rebound averages and assist averages, but as far as those averages go, they're not a true tale in terms of consistency across the board.
Right.
It's kind of like guys take their highs and their lows, and that's where their average is sitting. It's not really any type of consistency there, which is kind of a concern. You've got situations where, like Melo, for example, played easily his worst game with the Thunder last Friday against Boston. I think I saw it was his worst half The second half was his worst half in his career when he's taken at least 10 shots. It was like 1 for 12 or something.
Yeah.
And then he starts off Sunday against Portland, and he couldn't miss.
Right.
So developing that consistency, I think that's going to be the main thing for us with the big three. What do you think about the guys that aren't part of that Westbrook, Melo, PG-13 mix? So what do you think about who do you like?
Obviously,
the
first name that comes to mind is Steven Adams.
For sure.
And I think he's having the best season of his career so far, and which I thought that would happen this year. And then you look in some of our losses, especially the last one, he had 4 points, only took 3 shots.
Right.
I think he's just a key piece of this offense. I mean, you know what you're going to get out of him on the defensive end. He's going to be a rim protector. Now he's added steals to a part of his defensive game. His hands are, just his awareness.
You see one of those giant mids coming at you. You really want to turn the other way.
His awareness on the court has improved so much.
For sure.
But when we're not getting him involved on the offensive end, I think
as far as he goes, I remember talking about this in the preseason that I thought he would be the biggest benefactor in terms of how everybody responds and sees their play change based on the big trades. Obviously, Westbrook is going to benefit. The offensive load is not all on his shoulders. But with Steven Adams, I feel like he can kind of quit having to be in the spotlight so much. I mean, last year, a lot of guys, we expected Victor Oladipo to be that number 2. And some nights he was, some nights he wasn't. And a lot of that burden fell on Steven Adams. And unfortunately, he really wasn't able to do much because of that.
Another name I like is or we've been hearing a lot also of, is Jeremy Grant. He's kind of come out of nowhere with these 17-point games that he's had, and I think he's improved a lot on that corner 3, the kick out, and so that's nice to have. Outside of those two, is there? I guess Raymond Felton would be another name that I've enjoyed watching him play a lot more than I thought I would.
I joked a lot about Raymond Felton, calling him Cheeseburger Eddie.
Yeah.
Because he's got he's a little thicker guy. But in terms of what he's bringing, second team, he's done a fantastic job with that. And I don't know if it's just new change of scenery, new role for him, what that is, or what. But he really has impressed me the most out of everybody.
I think it's all about where you're playing. He's happy to be here in Oklahoma City, and if you're happy where you're at, that's gonna key into how you're playing. If we can go back to the big 3 real quick, I was gonna say what I like the most about Westbrook is he's still Russell Westbrook. You're still gonna get that same energy every single night. You still see him driving into the paint, pulling up at the free throw still, but I like that he does have the confidence now to kick the ball out. Last year he still did it, but it wasn't at the level. Was it the last game against Portland where he kicked that to 3 to Paul George? At the last second he almost pulled up to shoot it, kicked it out. Last season he would have taken that shot, and it was not a good look. And then Paul George, I like that he's not afraid to take those game-winning shots. He missed one against, who was it? He missed horribly. I'm blanking.
Talking about in the playoffs?
No. This last couple games ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wasn't even close, but I like that he isn't afraid to take those shots. And then of course Melo's not afraid to shoot. He's gonna like a 3 of 17 the other night, and he was still going. You're not gonna shoot down his confidence. So, talking about each player in the big 3, that's the 3 things that I've noticed the most so far.
What do you think about let's see, Alex Abrinas? I feel like he's kind of he hasn't been able to do a whole lot in the offense. He hasn't really. I mean, his playtime's kind of been inconsistent.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of. I almost want to say he hasn't found his spot in the offense, but you know what his spot is the shoot up or the spot up 3. It just hasn't. I don't know if it hasn't been there. If there's too many other guys on the floor, he's shooting pretty well.
Right. I think the biggest improvement I've seen him, his defense has been pretty solid. I still feel like he's not quite getting all those calls that we'd like to see him get on the defensive end. He seems like he's in the right position a lot, but he gets called for those blocking fouls when he's trying to take a charge. I'm not quite sure what it is that he could do better, but I definitely want to see him involved. He's that guy that we could definitely rely on late in the late in a game, especially if we need a good shot or whatever that might look like. Let's see. Let's move on a little bit here, and let's talk about our games from the last week. Last Tuesday, we had a win in Milwaukee. Arguably the best game, probably of the season. The loss in Boston, obviously, with the 18-point lead at halftime, gave that up, and then we lost in Portland. What are your thoughts on those games? Just take me through the week a little bit.
Like you said with Milwaukee, it's probably the best game of the season so far. I think everyone, as far as the big three goes, they did shoot well that game. Let's see. That was a big game for Jeremy Grant as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then Boston, I hate to blame things on just like blame losses on one or two things,
Right.
but with Melo not shooting well, that definitely, took out the offense. Especially, I think the biggest issue is when they have those big quarters, and then it's like there's no rhythm there in offense. We go 5-6 minutes without a bucket, and then it's hard even when you're playing good defense. It's hard not to. I mean, you can't win when you
Right.
have nothing on the offensive end. Portland, Melo ejection. That's a tough one.
I want to talk about that in just a minute. Just want to go back to the Milwaukee game. I think on the key to that game for me was Andre Robertson defending Giannis. I'm not even going to try to say his name on radio and everything. The Greek Freak, being able to shut him down, I think was so key and important. But besides that, we shut him down. He dealt with foul trouble. Offensively, we were grooving a little bit. That was a solid win for us, and it kind of looked like we were turning the corner a little bit. And then we had the Boston thing. Like I said, the first half of that game, I thought we looked like a team that could compete. Like we could compete with Golden State, with Houston, some of those teams that have just really been lighting it up. But then the second half, it was just kind of a meltdown. It was kind of like offense quit hitting shots, and we went from ball movement to resorting back to those old ways of ISO ball. And I think we need to get away from that. And that kind of showed up a little bit against Portland. We had some consistency issues.
That was the game they didn't use Steven Adams.
Yeah,
at all.
He barely saw a lot, and I think Russ looking for him early is so key. Getting Adams some first quarter points is going to be so key, and that kind of leads us into the Melo ejection. So, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I remember I think it might have been Reggie Miller said that if that's what we're going to be ejecting players for now, there's going to be 4 or 5 ejections per game by that standard. It was in my opinion, there's no way that was on purpose. It wasn't intentional. It looked like he was going up for the layup, double clutch, happened to catch him with the elbow. Refs unfortunately saw it as a flagrant too. So
I have never, in my little bit of not little bit in my long line of watching NBA games, I've never seen a call go like that. And we're actually getting to a point where let's go ahead and break for our sponsors for just a second. And when we get back, I'm going to share my thoughts. I've got a little bit of a rant to go on about this. So, yeah, I got some things I'd like to say. We've got a few minutes. I'm trying to call Jeremy to figure out we're having some popping issues and volume stuff. So, hey, what's going on, man?
So it's a little choppy on the radio end, and I know why. If you go up at the top left and where it says mix and go into preferences.
Okay. All right.
And then where it says like audio buffering or something like that.
Audio buffer.
Yeah, does it say like 1 point something?
It's 1.45 right now.
So change that to like 11 point something.
11.6.
Yeah, and then just hit OK down at the bottom, and that should That should help it out quite a bit. It sounds great on YouTube, though. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's been clicking a little in my earbuds, so you don't think my
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just not buffering quick enough. Now there may be a slight delay now.
Okay.
Here, but it should take the clicking away.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it. Bye. All right, we should be good.
So we're all in on the
We were
Melo ejection right now.
ready.
Yeah.
We're about back. All right, we are back here, Thunder guys, chatting a little bit of Thunder basketball. Let's jump right back in with the Melo ejection. I want to go back on that. So here's what I saw. Carmelo Anthony is driving to the basket. He goes up for a shot, and he does what every basketball player is ever taught to do: go up strong. He sees Nurkic coming in with the contact, so he leans into it, goes in, gets the bucket. Official calls a foul and one, and then Nurkic is on the ground making a big fit. He'd kind of been doing that throughout the game a little bit. It was kind of frustrating for me to see a big play like a baby, to put it plainly. So they, for whatever reason, I guess, I don't know if head coach for the Trailblazers, Terry Stotts, I don't know if he complained or what it was, but he goes to they go and they review the call, and in the process they end up calling a flagrant 2. And like I said, I don't claim to be some type of NBA legend, analyst, expert, or anything like that, but as far as I could tell, I could understand. I wouldn't have been happy with it, but I could have understood if they called it a flagrant 1.
Yeah, agreed.
I could see the elbow. I don't think it was, in terms of the spirit of the law, I don't think it was a flagrant foul in any way. But I could have understood flagrant 1, right? So they call it a flagrant 2, and honestly, I don't know how Carmelo kept his composure, because it was just so wild. The whole thing, it did not make any sense to me.
I think he was more in shock than anything.
Yeah, I think everybody was in shock. Yeah. Especially, and here's my thing, just a few minutes prior to that, Russell Westbrook took a shoulder to the face.
Yeah.
And I thought he kind of played it up a little bit. He lied on the ground and was holding his head. And, I mean, as he should. It was, like I said, it looked pretty brutal. I'm not a big fan of head contact, as I imagine most professional athletes aren't. So I could understand why he was trying to maybe play it up just a little bit. But so Melo gets ejected. Portland's going crazy. They love it, and I can understand why. And it was almost as if the team started playing better. And here's the thing. I don't think it's because the team is better with Melo off the floor. I think it's that it kind of ignited him a little bit. See, Russell Westbrook was making some of those plays in the first half. I don't know if you saw it. He was in a jump ball situation, and he was fired up. He was like, "That's my ball," and he was all
when he
ripped
it away.
Yes.
And, yeah.
And I saw somebody say that he overreacts more than any other player in the NBA, and I was just thinking, is that really an overreaction or just an enthusiasm for the game? And I think that's really where he was. He's always at 100. He wants to win. And when Melo got ejected, it was kind of like everybody else around kind of took on his persona towards that, and they started playing with just a little bit extra. Now, obviously, it comes down to the end of the game. You don't get the results you want, and I get you're not going to win everything in that situation, but I also feel like that could maybe be a turning point. We saw some good things there towards the end, and really, I really liked seeing that extra effort. I feel like that was the reason that we lost to Minnesota.
Right.
Whenever we played at their place, they killed us on the offensive rebounds, second chance points. Some of those, just that little extra. Boston, we struggled with the pick and roll. Al Horford comes over, sets a pick for Kyrie Irving. He pops out, and he's knocking down wide open shots. Defensive rotations. That comes down to effort. So we've got to figure that out, whatever that is. And I think Melo getting ejected, it's almost like it ignited something, at least in some of the guys. You saw some of that effort that wasn't really happening so far. And so I don't know if we're going to see a change later tonight, later this week in some of these games. I'm hoping we will, but like I said, I've never seen anything like that. As far as I've heard, I haven't seen anything about them overturning the flagrant 2, which kind of boggles my mind, because you saw NBA players, you saw NBA analysts. Obviously, Thunder Twitter exploded with just disbelief.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but Melo will be back tonight. I can assume he's going to have a bit of a fire lit underneath him to kind of want to come back and play well. So, but anyways.
I think I go back to what you were talking about, the team, kind of like igniting them a little bit. I think they said at halftime, I don't remember who it was, but was talking, imagine if the entire team played with the same mindset as Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. How unstoppable would this team be? When you look at Melo when he's out there just, going down, shooting up shots, as opposed to what you were talking about tonight, we may see a more focused and determined Melo. He's unstoppable when he gets that,
right.
That mindset. And so it's just kind of, at what point, you at a professional level, should you not be coming out every night to play with that same intensity? It's still a bit frustrating from that side of things.
That reminds me, I actually gave Carmelo Anthony a new nickname. I think I told you about this. I said something about it on Twitter, and a few of our followers said they liked it, but I've nicknamed him Deep Deuce because he is the master of the deep two. It's like he catches the ball out at the three-point line, and he does a little jab step, and then one dribble, and then pull up. And it's like, bro, you're right there at the three-point line. You're so close to, getting that extra point. But when he gets hot, I don't really care where the points are coming. If they're coming, then that's great. And it doesn't really matter to me where they're coming from. So as long as he's hitting, then I'm not going to complain.
But it's like hit or miss. Like when he's hitting those you love it. But when he takes those and he misses, those are the shots you don't want to see Melo take. Because the defender's right there. He just takes one dribble in.
They're not always what you would call great shots. But if he takes them, you gotta hope, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, another thing that reared its ugly head in the game, and this was an issue that as a team, the Thunder struggled terribly with last season, and it's taken a different form this season in the form of Russell Westbrook and its free throw shooting. Now, I wrote a post. It's been about a week or two, and got some decent hits going on with that. Quite a few people read it, so some of our listeners maybe you guys have read it. But it was basically about, there's been a rule change in the NBA that says it's a delay of game rule that says a player when shooting free throws cannot leave the free throw line and go back beyond the 3-point line, and it's supposed to help speed up the game. And which I take issue with that, and I'll get to that in a second. But Russell Westbrook, he has been for over a decade now. He has had the exact same free throw shooting routine, and then you've got, which his involves walking out and coming back. It's kind of, he said in a post game interview, it's his way of taking a breath, clearing his mind, and then going right back to the free throw line, knock him down. He was solid. And then we have a situation like on Sunday where, close game towards the end, I think Portland was up by 3 or 4 points, and he gets fouled on a 3-point attempt. Last season, those 3 free throws were automatic, no doubt in my mind. And prior to that, to these 3 free throw attempts, he'd actually missed 2 in a row, and then he steps up and he misses all 3 of these, making him 2 for 7 for the game. Okay, I think I saw he's 58% on the season, which as far as the Thunder go, that puts him just a tick above Andre Robertson, who is 2 for 4. Which is just, it's sad. Everybody else is shooting better than him. Not good. So, I mean, what do you think? What needs to happen here? What do we need to do? I guess not we.
What do we need to do?
I would give him all of my energy if I could. I don't know.
It's like you said. It's probably been more than 10 years, honestly. Going back, I mean, routines are routines. Right. Even I never made it past the high school level of basketball, but even I was allowed to take a step back in between shots, and so when you've been doing it for that long, and then all of a sudden you've got to change it up. However, I will say other players are making it happen. They're finding ways to get around that.
Obviously, it's not bothering them.
Right. So for Westbrook, it's just gotta it's got to be a mental thing.
Yeah.
And we know how mentally tough Westbrook is. So I'm sure it's not going to take too much longer, I would hope. But yeah, something's got to change. You talked about those 3 missed free throws in the clutch there, but he had missed the 2 before that, so making it 5 straight missed free throws. And
those 3 that he missed, he I don't know if he's just still trying to figure out something new or what, but he steps up to the free throw line, and it's almost just like snatch and shoot. Like he doesn't take a breath, doesn't dribble. Different guys do different things, but his motion was so. He looked irritated. He looked, let's just get this over with, that kind of thing. So he's got to figure something else out that's going to work for him because last season he led the league in makes and attempts from the free throw line. And obviously some of that production has gone down because of he doesn't have to shoot at the basket as much. So there's that element of it. But he's got to figure it out quickly.
Agreed, yeah.
Going back to the delay of game rule change, they want to speed up the game. My take on it is quit making some of these ridiculous calls, and we don't need to worry about speeding up the game. But I'm not gonna complain about the refs. We've had our run-ins this season already in enough situations, so I'm gonna try not to be one of those fans. But
real quick,
yes,
something just popped in my mind. How do you feel about the way that Billy Donovan handled like the Melo ejection or some of the calls that have taken place this year? He's gotten 1 technical foul, I think.
He might have 2.
Really?
I'm trying. I can't remember off the top of my head. He, I think he has shown the right amount of passion that he needs to. He was real laid back. It seemed like early on when he started with Oklahoma City, and then as he has been in the league a little bit longer,
getting more comfortable.
I think the transition from college to NBA for him, he recognizes. Obviously, getting a technical is rarely a good thing for your team, but at the same time, when you're willing to step up and show, hey, I'm going to fight for you guys, if that's what it takes to light a fire underneath your players, then by all means,
a long way for your
lose
players,
your mind a little bit. I mean, you saw the other night, Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, they both just went nuts. And I think Pop got ejected. I think Steve Kerr got ejected in another game at another time, and it's just kind of like you see guys do that, and it looks bad, but at the same time, how are your players playing for you? When you are willing to go to war for them, then they're going to fight for you. And so I don't know. I feel like he's got to find that balance of when do I need to step in and really make things known that this behavior is not okay, this officiating is not okay. And like I said, you don't want to blame the officials for losses. When you're in the game, you want to fight for your team, you want to fight for your players.
And I wasn't more saying blame losses. I'm talking about in that moment, how is he? I was asking because I was working when that whole thing happened, and someone told me, I would have liked to see Billy Donovan get a technical or even get thrown out of the game as well. I
think because of how crucial the moment was. I don't know, and I understand you want to see your coach fired up in the moment, but at the same time, I think it takes probably more to recognize the situation because obviously they get free throws out of it, they get possession. I mean, that was a huge swing. We went from Melo hitting a layup and an and one, a free throw. He's a good free throw shooter. Opportunity to he's gone. Nurkic got to shoot free throws and they get possession. Like that's a huge swing in momentum, in points. It was about midway through the third quarter, so you're getting down to near the end of the game, that kind of thing. So I think the way he responded was, I'm okay with him not getting a tech there. I think he recognizes, look, they're already about to get a large, you're talking potential, 6-7 point swing even. There's no point in adding to it because the refs are already going to be testy. Once again, I don't know what they're thinking to make the call there when they couldn't even review Russell Westbrook earlier, but...
Yeah, and
that's neither here nor
last
there.
time going back to the call, I promise, but that's another thing you just reminded me. How in the world did they switch when it was called it was an and one? The foul was in favor of Carmelo Anthony, and then all of a sudden he's getting that added to it makes it even more mind blowing in my opinion.
It solidified for me that I have no idea what's going on with NBA officiating. I feel like just if all it takes is just kind of, I feel like they've got a hat full of options of what can go down, and they just kind of like, all right, let's see what we've got here. All right, we're gonna, that one's gonna make a lot of people mad. We're gonna go with that one, and I feel like that's kind of what they do. I don't know, but anyways, so moving on, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game. Thunder are in Sacramento taking on the Kings.
Late game.
Very late game. So you got your coffee going. I'm going to have to pour some here in just a little bit because I've actually been up since about 5 this morning. So it's been a long day. But we will be up. We'll be live tweeting. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Thunder Guys. We live tweet every game. We love interacting with fans, so we love to hear what people have to say. And we love to chime in, have conversation, that kind of thing. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. But tonight, Thunder in Sacramento taking on the Kings. Thunder 4-5, obviously not where we want to be. The Kings, however, are 1-8. They have lost 7 in a row. Their one win is against the Dallas Mavericks, who are 1-10.
Yeah.
Arguably the worst team in the league. So the Sacramento Kings are just slightly better than the worst team in the league. Expectations?
It should be a huge win. I think it needs to be.
By huge, you don't mean in quality. You mean by like a ton of points.
Ton of points, yes. I think this is the type of game where you need to figure out what's going on offensively, the problems, try to be more consistent all throughout 4 quarters. Also tweak some things on the defensive end. Leaving way too many 3-point threats open on the perimeter, in my opinion.
Portland's obviously, that's who we struggle with. They're
yeah.
one of the league's best 3-point shooters. I'm not even sure where Sacramento is on that list. I looked over their offensive statistics, and they're bottom half of everything,
right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's easy to look back at recent games and say, this is instant, this one as well, but it is coming to mind with the back-to-back C.J. McCollum threes within the final minutes. That was it Westbrook.
Did he go off or what right then? It was just kind of like we were hanging in there, and it was close, and then ran that pick and roll, swing the ball a little bit. What I noticed on that was Westbrook.
Yeah.
I love the guy. I mean, he's my hero. I'm older than him by like just a little bit. He's legitimately, I love him. I love his attitude. I love how he plays. But on both of those plays, he gets caught. And I think teams have learned this about him. He sinks into the paint, and he likes to go for the rebounds, and I get that, and I'm all down for that. And I don't think he's triple-double chasing. I think he's win chasing. I think the quicker he gets the ball in his hands, the quicker we get down the court, and we're better off for that. But he gets caught sinking into the paint in the process. Somebody's going to be open, and you cannot leave a guy like C.J. McCollum, one of the league's top 3-point shooters.
You got to realize that.
You got to be aware, and it's kind of like he gets tunnel vision. Got to get that ball, and it's like he's got to stay on his man. He's got to stay focused there. So that obviously was a problem. I don't know if we'll struggle too much with 3-point shooting tonight. For me, one of the big things that I've noticed is, statistically speaking, the Thunder are one of the top defensive teams in the league. I think I'm trying to remember. I got some stats here. We're first in steals per game. First in opponent turnovers per game. Those two kind of go hand in hand. Second in defensive rating. Second in opponent points per game. We're only allowing 97 points per game. If you can keep an NBA team in double digits as opposed to triple digits, you're doing a solid job.
And that's what I was saying earlier, going back to that, is that you can't blame it on the defense when there's nothing on the offensive end. If we're holding opponents to 97 a game, we should be winning all of those games, especially with the firepower that we have on offense.
Some other stats here were, let's see, 5th in blocks per game and 5th in points off turnovers per game. So defensively, statistically, we look solid. Now, we've seen pick and roll issues with Russ and Adams. Russ's man or another guard, his man will get screened, usually by the big man who Adams is guarding. Adams comes off his man to guard the point guard, which is not a problem unless you're talking an All-NBA or an All-Star style. We're talking Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard.
It happened several times, yeah.
I don't want Steven Adams guarding Kyrie Irving for the final defensive possession of the game.
Right.
I love the dude, and he is a scary man, but he's not enough to stop Kyrie Irving underneath the basket. Irving is a magician down there.
The way he moves is ridiculous.
I don't even. I'll blink and he's somewhere else on the court. It's weird, but that's got to be fixed. We saw some more of that with Damian Lillard getting to the basket, and that cannot happen. As far as the Kings go offensively, they are pretty bad. They're 29th in the league. They only score 93.8 points per game. So if we allow them 97 points, they will actually be above their average. That's wild to me that they struggle that badly. They're also 29th in offensive rating. They're 23rd in field goal percentage and 28th in assists. So they don't share the ball well, and I think part of that's just because, they don't really have a star-studded cast. I look at their starting lineup. Here we go. We've got De'Aaron Fox. He's a point guard. Garrett Temple, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Zach Randolph, and Willie Cauley-Stein. You've got a bunch of young guys, and then you've got Zach Randolph. Okay, who he's not the player that he was years ago in Memphis. Still a great player in terms of his career, but he's not who he once was. I'm looking at this list of starters, projected starters, and there's not a single matchup on there that I think we lose.
I agree. And that's what I was saying. This has to be a game where the Thunder figure things out. You've got this one. Skipping ahead, you got Denver next. And then you got those two games to kind of get things going before playing the Clippers. So
right.
I think the next two will be huge, especially on the offensive end, trying to figure things out.
And we'll talk some more about those other games coming up. Right now, we are going to go ahead and take another break. Hear a word from our sponsors. So you have been listening to Thunder Things with the Thunder Guys, and we'll be right back after this.
So we can say whatever we want right now.
I'm not sure about the YouTube. I think we're still streaming, video, but I don't know about audio. Another thing, see the level. We want to keep it in green. It was poppy really bad earlier, and I tried to adjust the settings a little bit to help fix it. That's what the phone call was about. Yeah. Which that wasn't you, but just
it's just hard especially when you get going, get fired up about something.
Sure. So I'm not really sure what.
Hey, do we need to add some subjects in here?
I want to talk about the Kings a little bit more, and then we need to slow play it on the other games. What else would you want to talk about? Anything
I'm gonna throw a random question at you. You throw a random question at me.
A random what?
A random question.
Well, we gotta have the random question ready though.
No, okay, I'll have it ready.
Oh,
okay, I'm gonna think of mine. Yeah, I'm not gonna let you know what it is. I'm gonna put you on the spot. You can put me on the spot.
Okay.
What's it gonna be?
But I do have some more stuff I want to talk about the Kings first before we move on. So,
I got my question for you.
Okay.
Is this the last commercial?
Yeah, see that right there? It's getting ready to.
No, I'm saying is this the last one before break?
So we'll finish it.
Okay.
All right, we are back with Thunder Things with the Thunder Guys. We're talking Thunder basketball, what's going on tonight. Thunder taking on the Kings in Sacramento, and just a few more things I wanted to bring up. First off, the Kings are truly one of the teams that the Thunder has dominated consistently in its 10th season. Looking at the head-to-head record, we are 26-7 against the Kings, just complete domination. We're 15-1 at home against them, so only one home loss, and then 11-6 away. So we've really just, which the Kings have not been good since those early 2000s seasons when they were going head-to-head with the Lakers, and the Thunder obviously have we've improved from that first season. But when I was doing a little bit of digging in head-to-head history between the two teams, one thing that came up, and this blew my mind, I actually texted you about this last night, was on February 1st, 2009, Thunder's first season, Russell Westbrook, as a rookie, knocked down his career-high 20 free throws against the Kings in Sacramento. And I had to check in a couple different spots to make sure that I read that right, because I was thinking, wait a minute, there's no way that date's right. That's got to be a lot more recent than his rookie season. But I went and looked, and sure enough, as a rookie, 20 free throws. I'm not sure how many he shot. It was just a few more than that. He knocked down 20, and I went and looked, did a little bit of searching on basketballreference.com, and there are only 2 players in the modern day NBA that have hit at least 20 free throws in a single game. And we've got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did 20, and Rick Barry hit 21. So that's that's a pretty a solid stat to have. Now, I don't think that he's going to do that tonight. He might
be great, though.
He might need to get 40 attempts with the way he's been shooting. I don't know, but I would definitely like to see him do something similar to that. Maybe he just needs to get like into double-digit attempts in order to figure out his entire thing. Getting his motion more and that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe that's what it'll take at this point. But
see, when you messaged me that, I wasn't realizing that was a single game, and I was like,
no, in a single season. You thought it was in a single season.
Right. I didn't realize it was in a game.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, he only made 20 free throws though. I'm like, what? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty impressive.
In a single game, that's I mean, he's not done it since his rookie year, obviously. So that's pretty mind blowing there. Let's see what else to talk about for tonight. Thunder, one of the best defenses. Sacramento, one of the worst offenses. I took a look at their defensive stats. They're not that great either. So, yeah, this should definitely be a big win. Personally, I feel like if we're not – I want the big three to chill in the fourth quarter. I want them to rest.
Yeah.
We should be up by 20 points, around 20 in the fourth. They should not have to come in and play the full game. I'd like to see some of those other guys get some minutes. We talked about Raymond Felton, how well he's played. Jeremy Grant really coming off. I don't think we talked about Patrick Patterson. What have you I know you were kind of skeptical about that move that we made in the offseason, and Craig and I actually made a bet early on, and I lost, that Patrick Patterson would be the starting power forward, because who would have known that Carmelo Anthony would end up. But anyways, what are your thoughts on 2Pat so far?
From what I've seen, I like his ability, or his willingness to pull the trigger when given the ball on the perimeter. He shot pretty. I mean, from what I've seen, well. I've missed a lot of games this year because of being at work and everything. So the moments I do catch, he's not usually in the game. So, but I think giving an extra threat on the perimeter for the Thunder is huge, and I would prefer him to take that shot over Andre Robertson taking that shot. So
I knew you were going to say that.
So far, I've been more pleased with him than I thought I would be. Still not completely sold on the whole thing yet, but
yeah, he. One thing I've noticed is that corner three, career-wise, he's been a 42% shooter, I think, from the corner, and that is the shot that he's been. They look to make that pass. He's knocked it down fairly well. I mean, he could obviously. It took him a few games before he could even get his first points. But I think part of that was he was dealing with the knee injury that he had. Didn't quite. I don't think he played in the preseason. He wasn't even ready until opening night, and he didn't even really play. Here we go. He's shooting 28.6% from three. Not that great. That has improved. I know he missed some shots in those early games. Like I said, didn't even score until I think maybe his third game, whatever it was. But I feel like he has definitely shown that gradual improvement, kind of getting to where we would like him to be. So,
if anything, it's like a kind of a replacement of where Enes Kanter was taking those kick out threes or in the corner. So, and
he kind of plays a similar role. He can fight for rebounds. He's not quite as efficient down low, but he's a pretty solid defender.
Yeah, I think he's more athletic.
For sure. I think a lot of people are more athletic than Enes Kanter. No shade to our boy Kanter in New York now.
Much love.
Doesn't take much to get around a little faster than he does. So we've got that. But let's go ahead and take a look at our weekly forecast and look at some of these other games coming up. We've got Thursday on Denver. We got Thursday in Denver. We've got Friday at home versus the Clippers, and then Sunday at home versus the Mavs. So let's talk about Denver really quickly. First off, playing in Denver, talking high altitude. obviously just that aspect alone. I mean, these are professional athletes. Sure, they come in prepared, but it's got to affect them to an extent. What do you as far as I haven't seen Denver play too much outside of some highlights and stuff, but they seem like they're struggling early on. They were hoping to be in playoff contention this year. Picked up Paul Millsap in the offseason, but
they're 5-5 right now.
Sounds about right. They're not quite where they want to be.
Right, they're another team just like the Thunder, kind of just trying to figure out who they're trying to find their team identity right now. I will say, as good as our defense has been, it'll be a good test. Denver has 6 different players averaging double digits, so they don't have one main scoring threat, but they have a bunch of guys out there who can get you at any moment. So it'll be key also to, like you were saying, you're okay with the big 3 resting, because we got a back-to-back. The next night you got the Clippers in Oklahoma City. So it'd be kind of nice to go in there, get a solid win, have some rest before, because that Clippers it's going to be a big matchup.
Yeah, I think so, because they
physical
have really
too.
They've really shown up for, I think, where expectations were. I think preseason I had them bottom 2 or 3 slots for playoffs, and they're looking like they're not
Clippers,
okay
right?
with that, right?
Yeah.
Back to Denver. They are in the Northwest Division with us. We are, I want to say, 0-4 now in our division. We lost to Utah once, Minnesota twice, and now Portland. Not a good start.
So we need a win.
We could use a division win.
Yeah.
Obviously, people say division titles aren't anything to celebrate. Thunder fans look, and we've seen some success there, but what it comes down to is that could affect playoff seeding,
Right.
In the long run, if it comes down to a tiebreaker. And I'm looking at these other teams in our division, and I mean, Minnesota, they are on fire right now. I mean, they're on a 5-game win streak.
Pretty proud of my preseason pick with them as well.
I had them pretty high in my preseason top 10 as well. So no surprise there, honestly. I figured they might take a little bit longer to get some chemistry going just because of the youth that they've got, but they have got some things figured out. I think they're on a 5-game winning streak, which is their best winning. They haven't done that since 2009, which is wild.
Yeah, I mean, I know with Jimmy Butler heading there that team was...
What's crazy
with
is
all the young talent around them.
I saw a stat about him was his usage rate. I think it's like 5th on the team.
Wow.
He's just... He's not having near as many breakout stats, crazy high numbers or anything like that, but he's getting the job done. And I think it's because he's got some genuine talent around him. Jeff Teague, I feel like, is a really solid facilitator. He was so good in Atlanta, kind of struggled in Indiana last year. Now I think just getting in on the right squad with Minnesota has really done him solid. And then I'm a big fan of Karl Anthony Towns, except for when he's setting screens against Paul George. About lost my mind, but anyways,
we were at that game.
Yeah, we were at that game, and it was frustrations existed on the walk back to the view.
I had a pretty sweet video of that game winner by Melo, which was no longer.
I thought that was like our moment. Like
I've always wanted to catch one of those on my phone, and I finally did. And but when you look at our division, it's got to be the toughest division in the league right now. There's nobody else.
Yeah, it's.
From top to bottom.
I think the Southwest Division in the Western Conference, Houston, Memphis, San Antonio, New Orleans, they're pretty solid. But if you look at the fact that the Thunder are at the bottom of our division right now, and I've got us pegged as going to the finals. I know, bit of a homer pick, but I had to. But I think that says something. So, anyways. We really got to, I think that win in Denver, we need to pick that up. Obviously need to start with tonight. I think Sacramento would be a good something to get something rolling. Then if we can take out Denver, and then on to Friday, hosting the Clippers at home. Your dad is actually a huge Clippers fan. So I know you guys
Clippers
always have.
fan and Thunder hater.
Yeah. So we... you guys always like to trash talk. What do you like matchup wise in that? Obviously, Chris Paul is gone. Patrick Beverley, notoriously hated by all of Thunder Nation. How do you feel about the game? What are your thoughts going on?
I'm excited anytime I get to see Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverley go at it.
It can get wild.
Yeah. Those guys do not like each other. Understandably, I'm excited about the I like our chances inside. I know you've got Blake Griffin, but defensively, I don't see many problems there with DeAndre Jordan on Steven Adams. On the other side, though, I think they could cause problems for our offense or for our defense, just like I think we're going to cause problems for their defense. But yeah, and I like our size with Melo at the 4. Or I'm sorry, with our playing small with Melo through the 4 and being able to.
Are you worried at all about Blake Griffin? A lot of people think he's having an MVP type season, and
with Melo guarding him, is that what you're asking me? I mean, honestly, yeah. But I think it's going to be important to be physical with him early. I don't know if that's much of Melo's thing.
Yeah,
is to play physical.
I mean, he's shown some glimpses, and I don't know if it's just he's bought in, he's in the right setting with other guys that are playing high-octane defense. Maybe that's kind of ignited a desire. I mean, if other dudes are getting steals and they're getting fast break opportunities, that I'm going to look at that and I'm going to be like, I want some of that.
Right.
You know? So I don't know if, maybe he's bought in on that level, and I'd love to see Blake go up for one of his famous dunks and Melo go up with him and just like foul him hard. Not anything dirty, but kind of just to set the tone that, I mean, Blake Griffin has murdered people just over the years.
That's kind of what you have to do with him.
I always remember the dunk on Kendrick Perkins. Park tried so hard to shut him down, but Blake Griffin kind of put his arm on him. It was like he went up even higher and then came down. And
used him as a lift.
That was the day Kendrick Perkins retired from basketball.
Right.
Not officially, but you pretty much knew. I love Big Perk. So
no, you have to be physical with Blake Griffin.
Right.
I love the guy. I mean, you've kind of influenced me to hate him a little bit. But I'm an OU fan, so naturally I'm a Blake Griffin. Well, not anymore, but used to be a fan.
Right.
But the key to defending Blake Griffin is to play physical with him. You can,
for sure.
Not that he won't play physical back, but I think that gets him out of his game because then he becomes too worried about getting even or being just as physical. And I think, as much as he likes to be physical, I don't think he wants to play that way offensively.
Yeah, I think one of the things with him is he's not a great jump shooter. His jump shot has definitely improved over the years, and it's almost like if you can push him out of the paint where he really lives and is comfortable, if you can push him out and force him to take some of those shots, then that's really where we're going to be comfortable. If Melo can do that, and then obviously we run a very fast-paced offense. We're, I think, second in the NBA in transition points. We need to keep that up, especially against a team like the Clippers.
I think the bigger issue, though, with you were talking about, am I worried with Melo guarding Blake Griffin? I think the help defense is going to be there with Steven Adams, but then you're going to have DeAndre Jordan wide open under the basket.
Right.
So there's got to be some sort of rotation that the Thunder figure out.
Those rotations are very important.
Because chances are Blake Griffin is at some point going to get around, head to the basket like he always does.
They're gonna make some plays. We're gonna make some plays. At the end of the day, I think it's gonna come down to who's willing to hold on and really grind out a win at the end. I remember last year we had a game where the Clippers were at home, and I can't remember if they were at full health or what it was, but we just destroyed them, and it was very unexpected. I don't think that's going to be the case on Friday. I do think it's going to be a close game.
No, I agree with you.
So
before we run out of time, I lost it. It's gone. I was going to say one more thing about the Clippers, but it's gone.
All right, we'll come back to it. Dallas next Sunday. That'll be the last game to round out the week before we're back next Tuesday.
That's got to be a win as well.
Worst team in the league, right?
Yeah, 1-10.
1-10, and I don't even know who their win was. Oh, they got they knocked off Memphis somehow. I don't know if I don't even know. I didn't see it. I don't know how that even happened. Memphis ended up playing them a couple games later, a rematch, and they won. Dallas got the one win. Most of their other games have really not even been all that close. They've had a couple that are single digits, but not much.
They're kind of in the same situation as Denver with they got multiple guys who score, but no one who really leads the way defensively. I mean, we're not going to have a problem scoring points on them.
Play them at home. Play them on a Sunday. They are not good at all. We've got to win that game. So I'm looking at 4 games ahead. We've got Sacramento, Denver, Clippers, and the Mavs. What are you looking at in those 4 games record-wise? What are your your high, your low. What are you wanting? What do you expect?
Out of the 4 games?
Yeah.
3, I mean, obviously, it'd be cool to go 4-0 over the week.
Very realistic.
Yeah, it very well
realistic.
could happen. I could also see us going 3-1. I think the key game is going to be not so much the back-to-back on Friday, but are we going to overlook Denver on Thursday night? The final, that's the end of their road trip. They're finally going to make it back home.
Agreed.
Are they just going to kind of coast back in Oklahoma City? Hoping for 4-0, but I could see 3-1 being a big possibility.
2-2. What do you think of 2-2?
That's
we don't need that.
We don't need that.
Okay,
No,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
2-2 would be bad to me.
Yeah, I agree.
3-1 would be. I'd be okay with. I think that's with how the team has played so far. I think that's probably the most realistic outcome. Just because, as far as I could tell, we'd go 3-0 and then drop the one to Dallas. I don't know. I'm not going to say.
Right.
I'm not going to wish that
Something.
on us. That would be awful. But 3-1 is definitely realistic. 4-0 I don't think's too crazy at all either. That's obviously where I'd like to see us. And so yeah, that takes us through the week.
While we're on this talk of the next 4 games, I told you I was going to throw a question at you.
We got 4 minutes.
We got 4 minutes to do this.
Craig's got a random question. I am not prepared for this whatsoever. So
It's not that big of a.
Okay, good.
It shouldn't be a brain buster or anything.
I try to do good off the cuff, but you never know.
We're almost 10 games in.
Okay.
We're sitting at 4-5.
Correct.
We will be 10 games in after tonight. Where should this Thunder team be in the next 10 games? 20 games in, where should we be sitting?
Let me see if I can pull up our schedule really quickly. Cycle through my calendar here. So we're 4-5, 9 games, so we have 11 games to go. You're asking me how do I think we're going to fare
record wise.
Okay, let's see.
And I remember what I was going to say about the Clippers game.
All right, you go ahead and say that.
With all the talks about with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, it's going to be important to get Steven Adams going, like we were saying. Because we've got excellent shooters on this team now, but it's unrealistic to expect them to shoot well every single night. And so when that's not there, you've got to. Steven Adams, was he shooting 75% from inside?
Pretty close.
I say that because I don't think he shot anywhere else.
No.
But
he's up there.
when you need points, and I think he's at that point in his career now where we can rely on that. And so I think you need to start saying, okay, instead of when we need points, let's go to Russ, let's go to Paul George. I think we can also say we need points. Steven Adams is an option. And I think if we would have done that late in the game against Portland,
right,
the score would have been different.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and look and say through the end of November, we've got, I counted 13 games, which would put us at, 12 games, which would put us at 21 games. I looked at the schedule. We've got some tough ones in there. We've got the Spurs. We've got the Warriors. We've got the Pistons. They've been playing hot. We've got the Magic. And that's not counting the Clippers and Denver. So there are definitely some question marks there. I'd like to see where we're at. But overall, I don't think that us going 9-3 would be too out of the question. Obviously, I'd like us to just run them all,
right?
Win all the games. That would be awesome, but I'm not really sure if that's where we're going to be. So we're going to do our best. I think 9-3 is leaning towards the high end of what we're capable of. Worst case scenario, those 12. If we're not going 6-6 through those 12, we're looking. Even that would be bad because that would still put us at below 500. So that would not be good. But anyways, parting comments. We've got about a minute left.
I'd just like to see this team figure out how to piece together wins. That was our problem last year.
Chemistry, right?
Yeah, win a couple, lose a couple, back and forth. I want to see us put together a good winning streak. But I'm not worried yet. You never want to peak too early in the season. There's no need for panic right now.
I hear you. All right, Thunder fans, you've been listening to Thunder Things with the Thunder Guys. We are on our way out of here. We just want to say thanks for listening, for tuning in. Hit us up on Twitter tonight, at the Thunder Guys. Make sure you're following us. We've got pre-game content, post-game content. We're live tweeting every game. We'd love to hear from you all. Coming up next, we've got 3D Sports with DK. And he's on there as well with Big Do and... I'm blanking.
Big Do and...
Give me just a second. and Steve-O.
Steve-O.
DK, Big Do, and Steve-O with 3D Sports. So give them a listen. Stay tuned, and we will catch you guys later.